Hi, my name is Scott, and I'm a procrastinator. Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome, mad creators, to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. At least we try to, but sometimes instead of doing those things, we kind of put that stuff off and we procrastinate a little bit. Now, I have to admit, this video was not a video I was expecting to make because I have never really thought of myself as a procrastinator. I tend to think of myself as somebody who tries to get things done, who even like tasks that I really don't want to do, I just, kind of push through it and get it out there. Things that need to be done anyway. So, I've always thought of myself as this productive person that's not that much of a procrastinator. And I have always been one of these people that try to encourage other people not to put things aside to the last minute. The light has kind of shone down on me, and I've got to realize that there's something that I've been putting off for a very long time that finally people just kind of called me on it. And people have been calling me out on this for a while, and it just took, I guess it just took more of a challenge. Like, you really need to do this, and I did it. And I wish I would have done it a long time ago. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is procrastination and why we put these things off. Things that are probably good for us. Things that we really should do, but for one reason or the other, we put them aside. Why is that? Well, we're going to talk about it. So let's get into it. It's been a while since I've done a blueprint drawing here on the channel, so I thought I'd do that. So this is one of my robot blueprints. So I'm going to do a robot ninja, because that's kind of how I used to think of myself, as sort of a ninja when it came to getting tasks done, just like, stealthily sneaking up and attacking them and getting them done and everything like that. But yeah, I guess that's not so much the case, because I recently launched a Patreon, and that was something that it's been on my list of things to do forever, and for one reason or another, I just kept putting it off. Early on, when I was doing the Artcasters, way back when we had Jeff Lafferty and Kevin Cross were hosts on the show, they both have Patreons that I support, and they, were encouraged me to start a Patreon, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. And then so much time has passed, obviously. I mean, it's been a while since those guys have been a host on the show. And for whatever reason, I didn't do it then, and, it was always on my to-do list, always something that I said, yeah, I get around to doing it, a lot like my mailing list. And the mailing list is very similar in that this is something that I knew was important. I knew I should have got out there. And it took me so long. And then once I did it, I'm like, why didn't I do this sooner? And it's the same thing with Patreon. I launched the Patreon, and like right away I got some patrons, and it was just awesome. And it's going to take a while for it to grow, but I should have started this a long time ago, and by then it would have been something altogether different than just having started right now. Now, of course, there's this saying that the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. So I'm glad I got it out there, but why did I wait? I don't know. It really took, again, a second group of people in my mastermind group, this group that I meet together with a bunch of other creative professionals, saying, because that was on my list of things to do. I had set out goals, and some of the goals I hit, but the one I hadn't hit was the Patreon, and they said, just get it, just launch it, don't worry. Because I said, well, I got to get a video and all this stuff, and they said, no, you don't need a video. It's not mandatory to have a video, and a lot of people don't have videos. But and I was like, well, I wanted to do things right, kind of like. And I tell people this all the time with comic books, is just start it. Don't worry about getting everything perfect, which, now I'm at sort of the other end of that. And I'm like, well, I want this to be something, if I launch this Patreon, I have a vision for it. There's rewards and things I want to attach to it. I want to do a cool video, and that's just the way I do things.
And so they kind of put the challenge. They said, don't worry about the video, don't worry about all that other stuff, just get it out there. We want to see the next time we meet next week for you to have made some progress on this. And so something in me clicked, and I'm like, okay, they've kind of put this challenge out for me, and I've got to do I've got to kind of show them that I can do what they're asking, they've kind of challenged me to do, but I still want to do the video, I still want to do everything. So I pushed everything aside for that week except for the Patreon, created the video, which I'm really proud of. I'm glad the way the video came out and everything. And I'll leave a link to the Patreon. You can check out the video and everything if you haven't already seen it. It's also on my YouTube. But anyway, so yeah, I did the video, I created all the tiers, I did all this stuff, and I got it the way I wanted. And it was basically just a week, it wasn't a full week, but within the course of a week, I created this, pretty much everything I needed to do. There were a couple other things, like there's still some discount codes and things that I need to do for my patrons and everything. And I wasn't expecting to get patrons right away, especially that quickly. And after that happened, it did kind of slow down a little bit. So I haven't had any new patrons, but the people that did back me initially, they backed at like higher tiers, which really that surprised me. And it just really made me feel good that people appreciate what I'm doing and everything and want to support me. So that was super cool. And, and from here on out, I just got to, talk about it, mention it, and keep offering cool rewards and things like that. So, I mean, one of the rewards that I'm doing is, and one of the reasons why, if you're thinking about maybe supporting me on Patreon, you should do it now, because I am offering, every month I'm going to be giving away like a physical sketch. And because we don't have a lot of patrons right now, the chance of winning one of those sketches is a lot higher now. So might be something, if you're considering doing it, it's probably better to do it early than later. But anyway, enough about me pitching my Patreon. But I want to talk, about procrastination. So I've talked about some of the things that I've done, and how I procrastinated, and how I really never thought of myself as a procrastinator, because I'm pretty good at getting things done and getting things out there. But there's certain things that I just, for whatever reason, put them aside. And these are things that I should want to get out there. I understand procrastination with things that you don't want to do. Like, I don't like paying taxes, and I could easily put that aside and all that stuff, but it's something you need to do. So I try, when at the end of the year, I try to start getting my stuff ready, so I'm not at that deadline trying to get all my stuff together to get out there and send in the tax information and all that kind of stuff. So, and the way I work, I usually try to take the tasks that I don't want to do, and I try to push them in front. So just get them out of the way. I know I don't want to do them, but if I get them out of the way, then I can focus on the stuff I like to do. So I've always been pretty good at that kind of thing. But here's some practical, I guess, advice or some tips and things that we can do that I'm going to start trying to implement that will help us with our procrastination. And one of these things is to combine the tasks that you don't want to do with tasks that you do like to do, kind of exclusively. Like, for instance, I go jogging pretty much every day, or at least 6 days a week. And I understand the benefit of it and everything. And it's something that I do all the time, but every single day, it would be so much easier not to do it. But then I would regret it and everything, and that's part of why I do it, and I'm trying to stay somewhat in shape by jogging. Of course, I need to work on the diet and everything, so maybe that's something that I'm procrastinating on that I should get back into, because it kind of takes both. It's not one without the other. It takes exercise and diet, unfortunately, because if I could just exercise all the time and eat what I want, that would be great, but that's not the way it works, unfortunately. So anyway, but one of the things that I do is I like to listen to podcasts, and I've kind of allocated my time to listening to podcasts only when I'm jogging. So if I want to listen to those podcasts, then I have to be jogging. So it's taking something I like to do with something I don't necessarily like to do. And when I finally actually do get out and I'm jogging, I do enjoy it, because I get up early and it's not terribly hot out usually when I go. And so, I do like it, and I like actually getting out there and doing it, but it's that initial thing of just getting me out there and doing it. So something else along these lines would be, for instance, if you don't like to do laundry, but you have a favorite TV show, well, maybe sit down and do your laundry while you're watching that favorite TV show. And that would be the only time that you can watch that show, is when you're doing your laundry. So if you attach something you don't really want to do with something you do, that can help you out. And there's all kinds of other things that we can do. The other thing is, it's kind of like what we do with the 48-hour art check that I do on Mondays with Joshua Kimball and Corey Kerr. They do it more often. I just join in. I just do it weekly, so I'm not doing the 48 hours, but I do like a weekly art check, and that kind of holds me accountable. But you can do that same thing with things that you tend to procrastinate on, or get other people that maybe, I'm going to keep using the example of sort of fitness, because that seems to be the one thing that people need to do but don't do. And that's something that if you just decide, well, I'm going to exercise on my own, which is something that I do. I don't really have accountability partner for exercising, and I tend to do all right with it. But if you find yourself in a situation where you aren't, because it's easier for you to put something off aside, put it off yourself. But if you have somebody else counting on you, like, oh, we're supposed to meet and exercise, it has to be somebody that's good with this. Because if you call a friend and goes, I don't really feel like exercising today, I know we said we were going to do it, and the other friend's like, yeah, that's cool, I don't really feel like it either, that's not going to work. You have to kind of work with each other and kind of hold each other accountable. But having a partner that you can attach these tasks to, that are tasks that you typically procrastinate on, and that can hold you accountable, is another thing that we can do. Another thing is to just start off small. Just take it it's kind of the theory behind the 100 Days of Making Comics, where people that are having trouble getting their comic book work done, well, instead of you got to work on it for a couple hours or 8 hours a day or whatever, or 6 hours or whatever, just 30 minutes a day. You can find 30 minutes a day. And then what happens is, a lot of people, they find that, okay, 30 minutes isn't that bad, I can add more to that. But even if you have to start at whatever it is you're procrastinating on, just do 5 minutes at a time every day, and then just gradually up that. Once you start doing those 5 minutes, then you can gradually up the frequency of that task, to the point where you're getting to the point where you've built a habit out of it. And a lot of this, procrastinating, overcoming it, is habit building, and doing things that are going to, the more you do it, the more repetitive it gets, the more it's almost like, yeah, this is just something I do now. It's kind of like my thing with jogging, even though, it's, like I said, it's much easier not to go jogging. The fact that I do it every day is just part of my routine. It's something that when I wake up, it's like, well, this is what I do. Another thing you can do to stop you from procrastinating is to create a visual reminder, something that's in the public, or at least somewhat, or your family can see, or whatever, maybe on the fridge or something, a calendar that shows what you're planning on doing and checking things off. So, or you could put it in more of a public space. I don't know exactly how that would work, but I'm sure you can figure something out. But if it's something that a lot of people can see, if you have a lot of people in your household or whatever, they can kind of look at that and say, hey, you haven't really hit that. Also, those signs that say so many days until or since last accident, like in a factory or something like that. And it's pretty impressive when you've gone thousands of days or whatever, or hundreds of days, whatever, without any kind of accident. But the minute there is an accident, it goes back to square one. So you can create something like that. So many days since I haven't procrastinated on this certain task. And so you just have that, big, somewhere where everyone can see it. And the minute you slip up, you got to go back to square one, and it's be 0 days since. And that kind of thing, I don't know about you, but that kind of thing, because I don't want other people to think that I'm slacking on something, or I can't get something done. And that's pretty much what really got me going this last time, putting the call out to me saying, you need to, you just get something done on this thing, just make some progress on this. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to make some progress. I'm going to get this thing out. And when I went back to that mastermind group the next week and I had the Patreon done, it was like, like I think most people were pretty impressed with what I did. So, and that makes me feel good. And any time somebody challenges me, as long as it's something in the realm of possibility, it behooves me to like, or it's something that I want to do where it's just like, yeah, I can do this and I will do this.
All right, so as hard as it is for me to admit it, I realize now that I have been a procrastinator, and I want to try to remember this situation, just so my future self can recognize this and say, hey, stop procrastinating, get this thing out there, and you're probably gonna be a lot happier when you do. So, but what about you guys? Do you guys find that you keep putting things off? Have you ever been in a situation where, you know, where your habits tell you, or because of your habits, you do put things off, and then finally you get something done, and what a relief that is, get something out there, and you're like, man, why did I waste so much time? Let me know in the comment section. I'd like to hear your guys' story, and hopefully this helped a few of you out. But, you know, in most cases, putting things off, it just isn't the best thing to do, and I kind of learned that the hard way, because I think if I would have not waited to put this Patreon out, it could have been, you know, it could have grown a lot by now. Same thing with whatever, like my newsletters and things that I put off for so long that I just am kicking myself because of it. So what about you guys? You guys got things like that? What are they? Let me know in the comment section, and I will see you guys later. That is all. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me at Serkworks on social media, and now you can support the work that I do on Patreon. If you like making comics, then go to Serkworks.com and pick up the Comic Maker Starter Kit. It's packed full of fonts, brushes, templates, and more, and best of all, it's totally free.